Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Fuller, and as Chair of the Board, I welcome you to this December 19th, 2023 final 2023 meeting of the Washtenaw County Board of Road Commissioners. Our Office Coordinator, Erin Smith, will describe how our meetings operate, how to access the agenda, and how people may participate remotely. Erin.
Thanks, Chair Fuller. There are multiple ways to make public comment during today's board meeting, whether you're joining us in person or virtually. If you're here in person and would like to make public comment, please fill out the sign-in sheet now. If you're joining us virtually, we will ask you to raise your hand at the appropriate time in the agenda. If you're joining us virtually and are experiencing technical issues with audio or video during the meeting, submit a comment in the chat feature and our communications manager will help you troubleshoot. The audio and video of this meeting is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be posted to wcroads.org in the next few days. There are printed copies of today's meeting agenda on the table near the front door, and it is also posted on our website. And now I'll turn it back over to Chair Fuller.
Thanks, Erin. I now call this December 19th, 2023 regular meeting to order and ask Erin to call the roll.
Chair Barb Fuller.
Present.
Vice Chair Rod Green.
Present.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Present.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Present.
And then Commissioner Jeff Smurs.
Present.
And then the following directors are in attendance. Managing Director Cheryl Siddle, Managing Director Matt McDonald, Director of Engineering and County Highway Engineer Brent Schlack, Director of Operations Adam Lape, and Director of Finance and IT Dan Ackerman.
Thank you, Erin. Please join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Seeing none, Erin, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Rod Green.
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs.
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Yes.
And Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, the agenda is approved unanimously as presented. We have one set of minutes to approve today. May I have a motion to accept the board meeting minutes of December 6th, 2023 as presented on pages 3 through 11?
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Seeing none, Erin, please.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs.
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green.
Yes.
And Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, we have accepted the board meeting minutes of December 6th, 2023. At this time, we are going to recognize the retirement of Cheryl Soderholm-Siddle as the Managing Director of the Washtenaw County Road Commission. And Commissioner Joanne McCollum has graciously agreed to read the tribute to Cheryl.
Madam,
Need a tissue? They're over there. Close. There we go.
not me, sure.
All right.
Madam Chair, whereas Cheryl Soderholm-Siddle has served as a valuable full-time employee of the Washtenaw County Road Commission starting on July 31st, 1997 through December 27th, 2023, when she has elected to retire to enjoy the fruits of her labor. And whereas Cheryl Soderholm-Siddle has provided nearly 27 years of knowledge and experience as the Traffic and Safety Supervisor, Assistant Director of Engineering, Director of Engineering, County Highway Engineer, and Managing Director that greatly benefited the Road Commission and the citizens of Washtenaw County. And whereas Cheryl Soderholm-Siddle's trusted leadership, steadfast dedication to duty, and active participation in all aspects of Road Commission activities has moved the organization to become a recognized leader among road agency peers, she has proven instrumental to staff and the Board of Road Commissioners in maintaining a safe and convenient road system for the traveling public. And whereas Cheryl Soderholm-Siddle has distinguished herself as one of the leaders among road professionals in Michigan through her active participation with the County Road Association, Nominating Committee, and Engineering and local public agency stockholders, committee, as well as the CRA subcommittees for the road conductor software and local public agency stockholders. She was also on the Institute of Transportation Engineers Board for 5 years. Cheryl received the CRA Distinguished Service Award and Michigan Department of Transportation Simply Super Service Award for the American Center for Mobility Project. And now therefore be it resolved that the Washtenaw County Board of County Road Commissioners and staff hereby extend their highest esteem to Cheryl Soderholm Siddle for her nearly 27 years of outstanding service to the public, and most specifically to the Washtenaw County Road Commission. And be it further resolved that we, the Washtenaw County Board of County Road Commissioners, thank, acknowledge, and commend Cheryl Soderholm Siddle for her dedicated service and wish her continued good health and happiness and success in all her future endeavors.
Thank you. Congratulations, Cheryl. Or not?
I would like to say so.
All right. Um, obviously, this is a very emotional time for me. I am so incredibly grateful and thankful to have had the career that I have had. And I have been supported by so many people here. First and foremost, this board, particularly Barbara Fuller, for everything that she has done to support me over the years. I think we've made quite the team and we've gone through an awful lot with respect to this board. And actually I onboarded or worked with all of you but one. Barb was the only commissioner here when I started.
Yep.
So thank you for your belief in me over the years. I really do appreciate that. I'd like to thank my coworkers. You really are the most amazing group of people. It has been my pleasure to have been a part of this organization. As I obviously look to retire, I know this place is going to be in great hands when I look at all of you, and I know everything that you can do, and I know what you do on a daily basis. People that don't work here, I think, don't begin to understand everything it is, all the effort, the hard work, the dedication that goes in, but thank you, thank you. I've enjoyed every day being here with all of you. You've made it my pleasure and made me very proud to have been a part of this organization. And last but not least, I'd like to thank my family. My mother, who I know is online. My parents always raised me to believe that we could do anything that we wanted to do as long as we set our minds to it, that there were not obstacles that we couldn't overcome. And it was with that I think that I've been able to move forward in my career as I did. To my children, because they actually didn't know anything other than this. My daughter was 6 months old when I started here. They grew up with construction projects. To this day, I don't think they think road closure really thinks it ever applies to them. They can do whatever they want when it comes to that. And the latest addition to my family, my stepson, actually even has worked on her rentals. So we've crossed paths on so many different ways. But most of all, I'd like to thank my husband. He has supported me for the last 10 years. We actually met here, surprise, surprise. He just has been my rock throughout all of this. But it really is because of everybody that's in this room and online that I can go into retirement and feel very good about doing that. I know this place is a great place and will continue to be so. So thank you to all of you. Very nice. Thank you.
I'm not sure how Tiffany, any ideas on how we take this picture? Maybe you come up here and shoot that way? Would that work? Yeah. All right, so gather around, people. We got it.
Right.
I have. Can I get it back?
Shares.
They should have sat down, sitting down.
I'll stand next to you.
How wide we can be.
I think the guy should have sat down.
Roxy, sorry, I got.
Y'all go ahead. Well, yes, can the front row sit? or kind of
Not
space.
to make you kneel.
Yeah, because I can't see some of my folks in the back, please. You gotta come forward. You gotta come forward to come over, forward and over. Front row sit. Front row sit. If we can get a seats or something like that and kneel, like front row, they can sit a little bit or kneel? Yeah, a kneel, that's good, okay. Well, what are they doing? Okay. Okay. My little people, come on up, like the shorter folks on the front, come on, because I can't see you. If y'all wanna, I'm just saying, I can't see you with these my tall trees out there. If you're gonna be that small, come on, come on. Sorry, I didn't mean to be like that, but you know what I mean? My people. Okay, we're getting a little closer. Okay, I think I see.
Oh, this ugly podium is in the way.
Tony. Can you move? There you go.
Push it. Push the podium.
Kurt.
It only goes so far. Oh, it's connected. Yeah, it's connected.
Okay, all right. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Thank you, thank you. Hello.
Other times, not so much.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I thought you were pulling my chair off for me.
I have a spot in my back. I kneeled the wrong way. I went to physical therapy a few years ago. Looked dimmer eyes.
It's kind of fun.
I need to
but-
start doing this.
Made in.
I know, there's so
Oh,
many
there.
great.
Break it up.
Didn't cry, so.
Oh, then, like, so it's
Fun that.
They didn't stay for public comment.
Dean, come back.
No, no. We could have ordered dinner in.
We would have been here a while.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Next item on our agenda is public comment. This is the time set aside on the agenda to receive comments from the public. This is not intended to be a period for dialogue. Each person will be allotted 3 minutes to address the board, and Aaron will now explain how people may be recognized to offer comments.
Thanks,
Erin?
Chair Fuller. Since this is a hybrid meeting with both in-person and virtual attendees, we will take turns between those attending in person and virtually. For virtual attendees, we have provided some instructions on the screen on how to participate and make public comment. If you're attending this meeting virtually and would like to make comment, please raise your hand now. If you dialed into the meeting from your phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. Our communications manager will unmute virtual participants with raised hands one at a time and will announce your username or last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your turn to speak. Please share your name and address before beginning your comments. And then for our in-person attendees, we will start with those who had signed up on the sign-in sheet as you walked in. If you didn't sign in, you're still welcome to make comment. At this time, there's no in-person or virtual attendees that would like to make public comment.
Thank you, Aaron. We will move along. Next item, written communications. They appear on pages 12 through 17 of the packet. Commissioners, anything you wish to draw our attention to? Commissioner McCollum and you as well? Okay, and then Commissioner Yamas.
Madam Chair, I just want to say congratulations to James, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Hui, project manager that received the award. And Mike Bernbeck also. And the picture is really nice with them standing in front of the Christmas tree with these beautiful awards. So congratulations for all their hard work.
Commissioner Yamas.
I too wanted to recognize the 2 project managers for receiving the awards of merits. Each one for a project 2,500 to 10,000 tons. Wow. And the single course overlay projects. What a proud moment for them and for Washtenaw Community Road Commission, County Road Commission. So thank you.
Jeff or Rod, anything? No? Okay. Thank you for that. we will move along. There was no public comment, so we will bypass that agenda item. Under new business, we have 3 items. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, items 1 through 3, background appearing on pages 18 through 31 of the packet.
Support.
Any comments, commissioners? I would point out that on pages 22 through 25 of this packet, there is a description of the $2 million that this board and the organization is putting towards the 2024 local road matching program. It will be distributed amongst the 20 Washtenaw County townships based on the formula used by MDOT. And the proposed 2024 local road and bridge improvement projects were approved at our December 6th meeting. I want people to understand that in the packet, there is a description of how the local road matching program works. And there's also a map of the proposed projects for the coming year. Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bart Bullard.
Yes, the consent agenda is approved as presented. Next, we have reports from our county commissioner liaisons. Tiffany, are either of them present?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Next up, we'll hear from Commissioner Yamas,
No report.
Commissioner Green,
No report.
Commissioner Smurs,
No report.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yes, Madam Chair. On December 12th, I attended the Washtenaw County Parks and Rec Commissioner meeting. The board discussed the border-to-border trail, the DAA7 construction cost sharing agreement. Phase 1 is to start at the Barton Dam parking lot and traverse 0.6 miles east across Barton Nature Area. This is the subject of the attached cost sharing agreement. Phase 2, the tunnel under the MDOT Amtrak Railroad and associated trail to connect to the existing border-to-border trail in Badmer Park and Phase 1 above. This portion of the project is nearly through Amtrak's engineering review process and will be the subject of a future cost-sharing agreement. On December 13th, I attended the Chat with the Road Commission. There were no public attendees. On December 19th, I attended the Washtenaw County Treasurer Open House. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. I will report that on December 6th, I attended the quarterly Southwest Washtenaw Council of Governments meeting. It was convened at the Manchester Township offices. The next meeting of that group is on March 13th. They meet quarterly. It will be at 7 p.m. Sharon Township Hall. I have studied the governor's December 14th, 2023 Growing Michigan Together Council report. And in that report, repeatedly references are made to sustainably built transportation networks. This report was pulled together in 6 months. It's pretty beefy. There are some things that we'll want to track carefully and rely on the legislature to put money and their support behind. Over the holidays, I encourage board members to visit McChrysip's 3-ring binder that we got last spring. This employment practices guidelines reference document contains valuable information and important reminders about our role as board members. This was provided to us by McChrysip, which is also the Michigan County Road Commission Self-Insurance Fund. We will move along to the report of the managing director, the staff, and any road commission updates. Please note that the staff reports appear on pages 32 through 39. Cheryl, Matt, whomever.
I really have nothing to report.
All right.
I'm gonna go ahead.
This is your last
The
big
first
chance.
time,
I
wow.
mean, come on.
I think I said enough earlier.
All right, all right. Matt,
Well, I'll report my deep appreciation for Cheryl, for leadership, being an outstanding boss, mentor, and friend. I just want to say thank you and just wish her the best success. I can't wait to hear about your adventures. So, thank you. With that, I will turn it over to staff Up first, we have Dan Ackerman, who has been very busy of late.
Good afternoon, Dan Ackerman, Director of Finance and IT. I also would like to acknowledge Cheryl, and it's been a pleasure to work alongside you your entire career. And
Who's been here
We- we-
longer,
we-
by
we
the
go
way?
back-
Are you, are
we
you?
go back a ways, don't
But
we?
Stephen, on yours, the
Dan was here when I hired.
Yeah, this Friday is my 29th work anniversary.
Oh, wow.
No. Hold your applause. No, I'm kidding. I actually started as a temporary employee in June of that year, so yeah.
I'm
Anyway.
sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's fine. So, but it's been my privilege to work alongside you all these years. And wish you nothing but the best. And hopefully if you ever venture into Dexter, definitely look me up. Or her husband's a big music guy, so I kind of felt bad at her party. I talked to him for quite some time. We were actually both talking about music and concerts, and a fascinating person. So, hopefully, I'm sure we'll still keep in touch.
I'll
So,
share them with you.
Yeah, there you go. Right, yes. You can come along too. No, I'm kidding.
Thanks, Dan.
So, but it's been my honor and privilege to work alongside you. So, yeah. And as it was mentioned, we are very busy in finance right now. I'm hoping that the board meeting is shorter rather than longer, because I have a nice deposit that I'm taking to the bank. I'm a little anxious to get that in the bank, so.
You're excused.
Yeah. I'll take you up on that. But just, working on all of our year-end stuff, processing invoices going out for money to come into the road commission, trying to finalize anything we need to pay for 2023, just trying to get ready for our audit. So just a lot going on. And as far as IT, I know last time I mentioned to you, we had a third-party cybersecurity audit that took place. And at the time, the report was not available, and there were some great questions from the board. And so at this time, I'd like to call up Chris Quinter, who is our IT manager, and he's going to share some of the highlights with you, and certainly ask away because he's our expert. And just overall, you can come on up. Overall, we were very pleased with the results, and I think a lot of it is due to the leadership that Chris has shown. And, we definitely are very conscious of cybersecurity, make sure that you're not clicking on bad links. He's really, he's kind of changed the culture around here. And I think, the results of his hard work show in this report. And certainly there's always room for improvement. Unfortunately, bad guys are always coming up with new ways to penetrate systems and so on. But, I feel really comfortable having Chris here, that, he's always aware of that too, and always looking forward. So, Chris, go ahead, introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Chris Winter, IT manager. So as Dan alluded to, a few months ago, I was able to sit in on a presentation through our cybersecurity insurance pool. And they did a whole about 1 hour, what you shouldn't be doing cybersecurity wise. Through that presentation, I was glad to see a lot of those check boxes we are doing. And then some things we are doing that they didn't even mention. So in general, I do feel like we are in a very good place cybersecurity wise. Through that conference, we were offered a no cost cybersecurity risk assessment. So the way that worked is the MSP that was involved with our insurance pool, one of their representatives came in, had a scan on a USB device, ran it on a couple of our computers just to see how far that scan can penetrate into our network, and see what they were able to find from an outsider's perspective, kind of trying to mimic a hack if you could, or if you would. So what they were able to provide to me is the report that I'll show you. Tiffany, can I have that up on the screen by chance? Thank you. So they were able to provide the report that they found. And this risk assessment is something that Dan and I have been wanting to do for a while. I still think we would like to have a more in-depth assessment done at some point. Those can be pretty costly, into the tens of thousands of dollars, to really do a full penetration test from the outside. But this was a really good start. At the end of it, it was kind of a sales pitch to switch to that MSP as our provider, which we are not choosing to do at this time, but they are a good backup if we ever do decide to change. So So with that, here is the report that was provided. Galactic Advisors was the software that they used. And then some of the different areas that they were able to scan. And then these are the areas. Overall, the results that they found, this chart looks a little daunting, but the results that they brought back to us are very, very mild. I'm not very concerned really with anything on this report, but at least wanted to share it with you.
Tell me what the pie chart means, Chris.
So the pie chart is the color coded items here in the or in the grid. The red are considered high risks, whereas the yellow are considered moderate risks. So that pie chart kind of just shows, there's four high risks and then 6 moderate risks.
But it doesn't reflect vulnerability on our end. This is just what they consider the higher risk elements of.
To some extent, yes, vulnerability, but I'll get into that here. So
Okay.
that's basically their assessment of our total risks in their eyes. How much of that are considered moderate, how much of that is considered high.
Okay, thank you.
And then, as I said, it can kind of corresponds there to, like I said, patches and firewall and encryption. Those are in red, considered higher risks. And then the yellow would be more of the moderate risks. And I'll get into each one of those here in a second. This will be relatively quick.
Madam Chair, Chris, what is the patches? What is that?
Yep, I'm gonna get into each of these squares
okay.
here in a
I
second.
see.
Yep.
Thank you.
So I'm not really gonna go into, I think we all kind of understand why we want to do this. That's really what this page is summarizing. And I can send this to everyone too afterwards if you'd like it, but. So the first thing in the accounts section that they found, we have a few accounts where passwords do not change. We like to push and make sure that staff are changing their passwords every 90 days. There are some that by design we do not change. The first 2 on there are our global administrator accounts. So the first one is used by our MSP, Applied Innovation, or Applied Imaging now. And then our second is our global one that my team uses. We change those regularly, but they are not set in the system to expire like a regular staff password is. We change those yearly. And the reason for that is because they're usually tied to a lot of different services on our servers. So when we change those, there's a lot of other steps that we need to go through and make sure nothing breaks on us. So we set those and we change those manually. That's why they're marked as not to expire.
You have a question, Chris? Commissioner Green?
Thank you, Chris. How often are the passwords changed?
Every 90 days.
For 90 days.
Not for these. These are changed yearly.
Right.
But for a regular staff password, they're changed every 90 days.
Thank you.
Are we our commissioners?
I was waiting for that one. No, you're not. So it's tricky because the password has to be changed when you're on site. So
Oh,
yeah,
Okay.
it's a little more difficult since you all are not here on a daily basis. So that gets a little trickier.
let's work together and peg a board meeting, put it on the calendar.
Sure. Yeah, we did it earlier this year, I believe, when we did your laptop refreshes. So
Right,
yeah, we can absolutely make a note to change those soon.
so that we're sure everybody brings in their laptop, everybody's here
Yep.
a little bit early and we
Yep,
can
the
make
other,
sure.
the other thing too is you have your 2-factor authentication
Mhm.
on going to your phone. So as long as you don't see any requests that you didn't initiate, you should still be in good hands.
Okay,
It's actually more recommended now. The concept of changing your password every so often is kind of going away, surprisingly. And it's more it's more a recommendation to have a longer password that you're not resetting constantly. So we're looking if that what's to be something that we implement at some point. The idea there is that you have maybe a 12 or 14 character password with more special characters and not add or not change it as much, because what studies are showing is if you're changing it every 30 or 90 days, you're making it too simple. You're just adding another 1 or another 2 or something like that to the end of it. So the idea there is you said it's something super complex that only you're going to remember, and then maybe not change it at all or as much. So kind of interesting to see how that's gone from change it all the time to not at all now. So that's something we're looking at as well.
okay. Any other questions? No,
The other accounts on here that kind of look like gibberish with the numbers and the letters, those are laptops or devices that connect to our Wi-Fi here in the building. So the way we connect, so anyone with a laptop, it has to be an approved device to be able to connect to our Wi-Fi network. And we use user accounts in an odd way to establish that with our system. So they are user accounts, but they're just tied to laptops, and they do not have permissions anywhere else on the network. So those showed up, and actually they only returned in this report maybe an eighth of the ones that are actually out there. So a lot of them, they weren't even able to see. So overall, I have no concerns as far as user accounts go. I mentioned they scanned 4 of our computers while they were here on site. 3 of those computers, I used my computer as one of them. Director of Engineering Brent Schlack offered his as another one because we wanted to be able to try to hit the traffic network. We used another staff member in engineering, and then we used the built-in computer in conference room 234. The good news there, the scan did not run on any of the staff computers. The only one it ran on was the computer in 234. So this page shows why it ran, and again, it's very minor. There were a few Windows updates that hadn't been applied, so it was able to pick up on those. And it's basically saying we need to get those applied. So minor updates, and I think what happens in those conference rooms is not many people are using those computers, so they turn off over the course of 30 to 60 days, and then they miss their patch window. So if anything from this slide, we've just added to our processes that every 30 days or so go in there and turn them on and let them auto update. So. And then again, just another patch, there was a printer driver that get updated on that computer as well. And then this screen here, this just talks about the vulnerabilities that are opened with not having those specific patches applied. So I'm not going to go into what each of these are, but they were very minor. So, but it makes sense as to why that scan was able to run on that specific computer. Any questions there? Okay. Next slide here. So on our firewall, they did find a couple ports that are open. So one of the ports, 3389, that's used for remote desktop. So that's actually a port that we're using in IT to be able to remote in to help you with any issues that you're having. So that is open by design, but it's still kind of considered a risk. If someone were to gain access to the network, obtain the appropriate credentials, they could remote into staff computers. But the way that we're using it through our network and then through our MSP as well. I'm not concerned here. There was also another port 1433, that's used for our SQL Server. So with core applications like our financials, our RoadSoft software, the card access system to get in and out of the building, that all runs on our SQL Server. 1433 is a default port, which is why it's being flagged as vulnerable. The idea there is if someone were to gain access to the network, they don't really have to guess or try to find which port's being used. That's just the default that kind of comes out of the box, if you will. So we'll look into changing that. I have hesitations there just because so much is relying on that SQL Server that we want to be careful we don't break anything just by changing that. So we'll kind of investigate if that's something that we really want. This page, I don't know what it's even talking about. So, and they couldn't tell me either. So I will say that that is our public IP address. So if you look up our account within Comcast, that's what you'll see from the outside world. But no one could tell me why this was flagged in their report. So I guess that's good. I don't know. This page encryption here, this is something that I kind of expected to see. So we do not enforce encryption on our hard drives, on our laptops. It is something that we ironically spoke with our MSP about a month before about whether we wanted to implement this or not. And essentially what that means is if you lose your laptop, someone were to steal it, they would open it up, they can't log in because they don't know your password. What they could do though, open the back plate off the underside, remove your hard drive. There's a device you can buy on Amazon for about $10 or $15. We actually have one upstairs that we use for support. Plug your hard drive into that and essentially use it as like a USB flash drive, and they would be able to pull any documents off of there. Encrypting the drive would prevent that. So we do have the software available. There would be no cost to it. So we're looking into how we want to go about implementing that. There would be really no effect to staff. They wouldn't see any difference at all. What it would affect is just some of our processes in IT and some of the turnaround time if you were to have to have your laptop replaced. Right now, if on a slow day, if someone were to bring a laptop to us that crashed or needed to be re-imaged, we could turn that around in about 1 to 2 hours. With the encryption, after everything's installed and all your documents are placed on it, that encryption has to go through and encrypt everything on there. So the more stuff that's on there, the longer that encryption is going to take. So it could take anywhere from 1 to 3 or 4 hours. So it's just going to add that much more time return someone's laptop to them, but also with added security to it. So this is something we're looking into doing, and I was not expected to see this, or not surprised rather to see this on the report. And then last thing under surveillance, it's kind of funny. They reported that our antivirus doesn't have proper alerting rules. That what we've found is that our antivirus blocked them from even seeing that. So that was really good news. Our antivirus is provided to us through our MSP, Applied Innovation. And I did receive a call 1 to 2 hours after their scan was ran from Applied saying, hey, something rogue's on your network. Do you know what this is? Is this good? So that was also good to see. I had mentioned to our contact that I work with closely at Applied and told him we were going to do this audit. I did not tell him when, and he did not share it with his team either. And that was intentional. I wanted to see if they would catch it, and they did. So they passed the test too. So overall, there were a few things on here that we can put some attention towards, but overall it was a very good test and good to see. If there were no results, it was kind of going to be almost a little unrealistic, I guess. So I'm glad to see a few results, but again, overall, I think we're doing pretty well. Any questions or
Chris?
anything you'd like to see
One.
again?
Jeff?
You had mentioned that turnaround time would take a little longer. At your best guess, I'm sure you don't know this off the top of your head, on an average, how many computers a year do you have just crash that you'd have to replace?
Not many, but less than 5, I would say.
So the
It's
impact's
very
pretty
rare.
minimal.
What's that?
The impact's pretty minimal then.
It is, yeah, it's very minimal. And everyone's different, right? So it just depends on, your laptop never dies at the right time or an opportune time. It's always before you have 3 meetings or a day full of stuff to do. So
Nobody wants to wait 3 hours either. It is what it
exactly.
is.
So, yeah, so that's really going to be the only time that it would ever affect staff or that they would see a difference. It would just be a little extra time before we can get that back to them.
Good question.
Questions?
I don't see any.
Great. Well,
Thanks,
thank you.
Chris.
I will send this to you as well, and thank you.
All right, I think next up we have Brent Schlack.
Hello, good afternoon. Brent Schlack, Director of Engineering. For my report, I did want to acknowledge Cheryl as well. It's been just great to work with her and to learn from her. She was actually the one that hired me at the Road Commission, and I'm really thankful for that. So 20 years ago. So that was, so thank you, Cheryl. And I appreciate the board recognizing 2 project managers. So I wanted to also acknowledge those. James Hui, he worked on the Carpenter Road project. One aspect, aside from the award that they received, took a lot of coordination with the US 12, US 23 project. And so, because it was right adjacent to that, and James did a great job working with MDOT and their staff to make sure that both jobs were seamless. And then Mike Burnbeck, I also want to acknowledge him. His job is here in River Drive, so that one also had some coordination with both the hospital and with the community college. And that was one of our, I don't know if we've had a couple projects we've done at night, but that was a project we paved at nighttime. And so the coordination with both those, the hospital and the community college, and some of the challenges that we had just trying to accommodate the traffic for those projects. So, and then one thing I do want to also acknowledge is our technical staff that was out there, Craig McGregor for the Here in River Drive project and Mark Fenelon. So just the coordination and just a job well done, and great job for them to receive that award. Staff is we're working on working through some of our MDOT lettings. We have some track 1 projects. Track 1 is for our communication on what level of communication we have. So our Miller and Zeeb, Stony Creek Bridge, just to name a few, Whitaker and Willis, Bemis Road, those are all getting packaged up and ready for bid. We're working through right of way, trying to get things submitted for those. So we're working on those projects. One aspect that I did want to inform the board, we were informed by MDOT that they will not be moving forward with the federal aid buyout for 2025. Of course, our agency is set up so that we can work through the federal aid, local agency process for those projects. And it doesn't impact 2024, but we did receive that communication, which is very unfortunate. And we're hoping that that program does come back. But I just wanted to inform the board that we did receive communication from MDOT on that. So with that, that's my report, unless there's any questions.
Yeah, why?
So with MDOT, there's a stipulation in the law that basically said if MDOT doesn't have enough funds for the buyout program, then they would have to opt out. So what's happening is the stimulus is gone, ARPA money is gone, the bond payments are becoming due, and the amount of funding that they have is diminished. In addition to that, they have their own federal aid, and they need to use their Michigan transportation funds, make their payments and obligations, and also match their federal aid. So they can't take on additional federal aid is the argument that is being made. So that's the why part.
Do you believe it?
I think have a lot of choices, and this is a choice they could justify and make. So I'm disappointed personally, and for this organization, because I think from a local's perspective, it's a really good program. So we're hopeful that we will voice our disappointment and continue to advocate for funding this program because it is of great benefit to the locals. Yes. But we are prepared, much like we did in the past, to process and to perform these projects as intended, only going through the local agency program through MDOT and bid it through the state. So we're prepared to do that. That's not going to be a problem. But there's definitely, and we've discussed, there's advantages to taking the buyout, using those local funds and bidding it locally it's a very cost-effective way of doing it. So
We'll talk more.
sounds good.
So with that, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Brian. Adam Late, Director of Operations.
Good afternoon, Adam Lake, Director of Operations. We're gonna have a little fun on the update today. We'll watch a video and we'll have a little discussion about a material storage bill. So routine maintenance does continue throughout the county as we wait for the winter to show up. But today we're gonna do a little time-lapse video, a little progress update of material storage building. So before we do that, Tiffany's gonna load a video for us and then I'll have a picture at the end. I'd like to thank the board for the local road program, the support. It's instrumental in providing this safe and convenient road system that we really strive for every day. So please, thank you. It's huge and it's very impactful for each township. So, and as you can see, when you look through the program, you see that chart, there's subsequent increases. So really, really good for the program. It's good for all of us to move forward and plan with that. I think it'll draw a lot of participation from the townships as well. So certainly we'll make them happy. That's us helping the program more and more. So, thank you. And with that, Tiffany, if you could load your video and I'll make a little update on the material storage building. So, we're working kind of midsummer here through the season. You see a lot of dust, a lot of dirt early in the year. This puts us about June where they started working through the foundation. And then you'll see a little gap in time where we get back to pouring. Now we're later in the year with this already had the delay for the reinforcing steel in July that basically slowed us down to minimal. And it goes pretty quick, you know, really August through even now November, end of November was very, very fast. They didn't move this fast on the site, but pretty quick. That concrete went in pretty fast. Really interesting to see how they did it. Besh builders, they're exceptionally good at this. You saw that crane there carrying that green mat. That's the reinforcing steel that we're waiting on. And now all the way to the point of preparing to actually pour the floor. So they're putting limestone in on the base there, and then we set some brine tanks in. You see our delivery, it was kind of good video there, got that. And that was probably about a month and a half ago. And then here in a few moments, you'll see as the video catches up, when the floor went in, which was a couple big pours to get that in there.
Doug would love this.
Oh, I know.
Thinking of Doug.
Yeah,
But watch
he's,
this.
he's having a ball watching this from somewhere right now, for sure. This was something he really wanted, so it's kind of cool. A lot of people really put a lot of time and a lot of years into getting us to this point. It's especially not just my group right now. You know, there are a lot of people before this that prepped this for us. So then there we go. We have some floor and some concrete curing. Then we'll find the end. So I have a few more things to say, and then I'll attach here and put the picture up what it was just about 7 minutes ago with the crane up there lifting some of the wall pieces into place. So moving along pretty good. We've reached a point now, we don't want to put any more concrete down. We're just going to call it a year at that. We have all the area and all the foundations poured. They'll finish the building this winter, and then in the spring, we'll complete the concrete paving for the driveway, kind of the equipment staging area, and then move over to demolition of the current salt dome that we have. So fits in, you know, like I said, the whole time we've been kind of making some lemonade out of some lemons that we were dealt with waiting on the steel. So luckily we have a system set up in place. You know, we already have a building holding material right now. So worst case scenario, in a few weeks, we could at least store salt in the new building if we had to. But we'd like to wait and let them finish all the electrical, get the ventilation fans and everything in there, the lights, kind of the small stuff. And then here, probably about 2 or 3 weeks, hopefully see the roof going on. So I'll connect here in a second, and then I'll show you the actual where we were just a few minutes ago. Okay, 1 second, it's loading up. Okay, go ahead. Okay. All righty. So this was from my computer, from the video camera that did that time lapse video. This was, I think at 1:32. So about 14 minutes ago or so. So you see the crane. So they're setting the back part of the wall. That's actually lumber. So that's timber, the timber wall I keep referring to. They'll set that. And then eventually, as you see, kind of laying out there off to the west. So on the top side of the screen, those are the roof truss. Those things are huge. And they've came in on 2 different semis. That's how wide these things are. So they're going to be quite the lift to put those in there. So we're pretty excited about that. They're starting to put the sheeting on that I've been referring to a little bit on that west side wall there. Try to protect a little bit from the weather that could come in the next couple of weeks. That way they can keep building around to the east side of the building here and continue on. So pretty excited. It's now definitely up and out of the ground like we've been saying all summer. So it's coming in the next handful of weeks. We'll be in a good place, hopefully under roof. And then you can see the concrete here, how we've left it for the season. All the grade is set. We'll have to come back in the spring and touch stuff up that gets wet, you know, throughout the winter, but that's where we'll let it sit for now. And if we have to, we can actually put salt in there if we need to store it once they get the roof on and the fans working.
So those trusses span the entire width?
Yeah, so
Okay.
they'll go, the easiest way to describe it is where the timber wall is
Uh-huh.
on the west side, will come all the way back to that first large concrete wall on the east side of the building. So they'll cover that span, and then it'll step down to the overhangs. You hear us refer to the lean-tos the past few years when we've been talking about this. That'll be that little area where there's a little enclosed trailer there on the east side of the building. That'll be kind of a different set of truss that'll do that, that'll cover that. So, but yes, the main span is huge.
So will there be a timber wall on the east wall as well? Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, they're working around the west side direction, I think mainly just to prevent and protect a little bit from the weather and the
Mhm,
wind. So then they
mhm.
get to the other side, they won't have a lot of wind affecting them to hang those east side walls, I believe.
Mhm.
Not talk to them, but just the assumption construction method why they'd probably be doing
Sure.
that. Yeah, so if there are any other questions, I have just a few other updates to make.
Commissioner Green.
And what is the anticipated date for completion?
Building itself, we're hoping end of January, but we won't be technically complete until next spring when we finish the demolition. So we're probably gonna be in the next May or so by the time they complete that. We have no need to rush into the building right now, so we're able just to use the salt dome that we have. So we've just, you know, basically permitted that stretch, and that really fits better for us for some of the other things we'd like to do with the pavement adjacent to the area, for our crews to do. not in this picture. So just the normal crew parking where trucks come in and out. We'd like to look into maybe doing some of that, and you saw that in some of the updates that are provided for potential 2024 projects. So that will match with all the heavy equipment getting out of here and the demolition, because there should be a lot of trucking involved in the demolition. So we'd like all that trucking and everything to be completed before we start putting things like a final surface, so to speak, a finished product. So we'll be stretched into next spring.
Did you have a hand up,
I
Jack?
just, based on the other things around it, for size wise, is that trailer about 32, 38 feet long in the lean-to?
Yeah, probably 38, because I think there are like 17, 18-foot spans between the bollards there, which are the steel pieces going down, those couple little yellow poles you see there. Yeah, so it's a pretty big, it's a tandem axle, so two axle
Good-sized
trailer.
building.
Yeah, so it's a little ominous when you get out there. It doesn't look as big when you're, 350 feet away and 60, 80 feet in the air, but that's 100 and some foot crane, if that helps you a little bit. It's obviously not extended all the way up, but that's a crane that they bought for this project. So, pretty big. And I guess size comparison, a little bit of the picture to your left is the oak tree. It's about 240 years old at this point that we see it kind of fenced off. It's a pretty tall tree. It's probably all of 60 foot tall, I would think.
Wow.
So yeah, it'll be good size, but it won't be much taller. Actually, just within a few feet of the current salt dome, it'll just be bigger. So it's going to be a really neat building when we get done. So yeah, size wise, the picture doesn't quite do it justice.
When
So
you
if
said
anybody does
small
want to go
trailer,
see
I
it,
was laughing, so.
yes, it is
That's a
comical. They
huge
pull that
building.
with it has two axles.
Big as I thought it is, but.
Yeah, they actually could stay in that trailer if they need to. So it has AC units and stuff. I mean, there's a sleeper portion in the front of that trailer. So pretty big, but if anybody does want to go see it, we certainly can go out there and see it.
So these were taken with a fixed camera that's mounted on one of our buildings, or
Well-
that's Alan Squires and his,
No, Alan will fly it just on his own with the drone when we kind of reach completion.
okay.
This technically isn't a fixed camera. It's mounted to our tower, but it swivels, pan, tilt, zoom. It's part of our signal system. So they were able to get this traffic and safety is able to provide this camera for us. But what we did is team up with Integral Blue, who works with our traffic and safety group, to start the time lapse video. So they have a server kind of grabbing all that. They worked with Chris, Jeff Young, Brent at the time to kind of build this. So what we'll have, and I've noted a few times before, we'll be able to go and present on this.
Yeah.
Because some of the other agencies, they've built things like this, but no one, luckily enough, had the technology like we do to kind of record it. So that's what is kind of setting this up for us. We thought it'd be kind of a neat thing to do. So you're kind of seeing a glimpse of what likely we'll probably present at the Winter Maintenance Conference next year.
Great.
Just some good ways to, good publicity for the agency and even the designing teams that
Yeah.
helped us as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Commissioner McCollum,
Is this something that could be presented as for one of the awards?
the Impress Award.
Impress Awards.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody's done builds. Honestly, don't know. I'd have to look. I know the coordination with the state is something we talked about, which, that's kind of one of my last notes, and I'll kind of skip ahead to that, the state, that's why Dan wants to run out of here like crazy. MDOT's been really, really good partner with us with respect to the material storage. And so that check that we have is one of their payments to us. So they provided a few $1 million to really help us out. So that could probably be a coordination point of an Impress Award.
Coordination.
Yeah, but others have built these, but I don't think they've been as lucky as we have with the partnership.
Mhm.
But that all comes back to the relationships we build and maintain. We've talked a little about legacy with Cheryl, and that was Cheryl to us to make sure we maintain the relationships. And so this is, fruits of that labor, really.
Especially with I know coordinating with other organizations, but that time lapse,
Yeah.
throw that in there.
It's gonna be really exciting because we can speed it up, we can slow it down, we can highlight specific areas. Just really cool technology we have, and it's all within our system we already have. We just had to get a little extra server to save it, basically. So it's really, really neat. So we're really lucky, and thanks to a lot of people to help with that. It's definitely beyond the operations team. We just kind of build it and take care of it. So others have helped us with that.
Thank you.
All righty. So I will disconnect here and then finish my update. Tiffany, I'm going to disconnect. All right, so like I said, I did make that note about MDOT. We are grateful for that, so I won't go any longer. That way Dan can get out of here.
Before the bank closes.
Yeah, right, we gotta go. But really, I just wanted to come to the end, finally to Cheryl. No special surprises or special trips or anything, just thank you. It's been nothing but an honor. Operations loves you. Thank you so much.
Very much. Feelings mutual.
Thank you. That does conclude my update unless anybody has anything other.
We're all set.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
I have nothing further unless you have any questions.
All right. I ask everyone to note that our next meeting is on January 3rd. This is a Wednesday, one of our Wednesday meetings that we adopted for next year because the first obviously is a holiday, which then is celebrated on the 2nd. So we'll gather on the 3rd of January on a Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So Mr. Swenson, make note, we're meeting on Wednesday that first week in January. Our virtual chat sessions, the next two I'm on call for December 20th, and January 3rd. And then on January 10th, it's Commissioner Green for the chat session. If there is no further business to come before the board, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Support. Aaron, please.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
And Commissioner Burt Fuller.
Yes, we are adjourned for the year. Well done, everybody. See you in 2024.